Good afternoon, good evening to you whenever you're having a chance to tune in here from Cold Lake, Alberta. Glad to have you aboard. As we obviously got some news today in Edmonton Oilers land. Ken Holland officially let go, allowed to walk, whatever term you want to use. Ken Holland no longer the general manager of the Oilers as his contract expires. And that, in the meantime, means Jeff Jackson will take over as I think we all kind of knew. Interim GM at least. He today put down his foot and said, I have no interest in becoming the full time general manager. I know that was something I had speculated on. It just seemed like, we're not hearing enough potential candidates to replace Ken Holland. The Oilers aren't rushing out to say at that point they were going to replace Ken Holland. And ultimately now, Jeff Jackson has said, I'm working on the process. I'm excited to try and find that next GM for the Edmonton Oilers. It's a big, important thing for me, and obviously the Oilers will quickly work through and get it done for sometime probably just after the draft, right? No matter what, the new GM, according to Jeff Jackson, will be hired prior to Leon Draisaitl signing a contract extension. So there are about three key things out of Jeff Jackson's interview today. We'll discuss that in a matter of moments. But friends, if you're new to the channel, I know this doesn't look like I do this regularly. If you're new, I'm just some guy sitting here with my glasses on talking about about the Oilers. I will tell you, I'm on vacation. I'm out of the studio. I'm sitting up here waiting for the sun to come out to hit the lake in Cold Lake here and get going. But I will tell you, we'll have Oilers coverage over here on Dolynny TV all summer long, back into the regular season next year. So I want you to hit that subscribe button. And with that, let's get on to the news of the day, right? We know Ken Holland's out. That was already covered in a video earlier today. But the other news of the day, Jeff Jackson's interview talking first off about that GM search. I know that's what I led the video with, but just to kind of recap that a little bit more as well, is it is important for Jeff Jackson he gets the new GM hired because that to him is the key piece, if you're reading between the lines, of getting Leon Draisaitl signed to a long-term extension, is getting a GM that Draisaitl says, yes, this is the guy that's going to help us win, this is the guy that's going to continue to make us win year after year after year. For Leon Draisaitl, the new GM is going to be a make or break point, and I think for Jeff Jackson, he knows he's going to get it right. He knows he's got to get it right, and he knows he doesn't have much time to get it right. He says there's no stress trading Leon Draisaitl due to the expiring contract next offseason, but at the same rate, that doesn't mean you have to prioritize it less than you should. So that's where things kind of shake out on that front. Jack Campbell, another discussion point for the Edmonton Oilers today. Jeff Jackson talking about, well, that's kind of my responsibility, right? Again, I'm paraphrasing a lot of what was said, but for Jackson, it is kind of a situation where he's got to deal with Campbell, but a buyout is not the first option. I think, as all us Edmonton Oilers fans have maintained, if you can trade Campbell for any asset, if you can get rid of Campbell for free, if you can do anything that clears $5 million off the books and not giving up a million draft picks to do it or prospects, do it. Do that instead of a buyout, right? That's our main one ask. And it's not that we hate Jack as a person. It's not that we hate Jack even as a hockey player. It's just you can't have Jack as a hockey player for that kind of money, right? That's what it comes down to. So for the Oilers, it's good to see as the buyout window opens today, Jeff Jackson talking about, hey, this is a priority. This is something we have to look into. We're considering a buyout, but we'd much rather shop him around and get him to a destination where his contract remains intact, I'm sure. And then as well for the Oilers, they clear that cap space. So couple of things to do there, and then we'll see what the Edmonton Oilers can come up with for results on the trade market when it comes to Jack Campbell. Obviously, you've seen the Vancouver Canucks making work. Patrick Alvin's been out there moving pieces, adding pieces, re-signing pieces, and that's where things shake out. The Oilers under Jeff Jackson for the next week or two or three are going to be kind of relentless. And to also come back to just saying that that situation with the general manager, just a thought again, Patrick from the Oilers Fanatic has been a long advocate of Mark Hunter of the London Knights. I think that is, if Jeff Jackson is indeed looking to quickly tidy this up. And obviously, given the rumors we've heard about Hunter over the years linking him to the Edmonton Oilers, I would assume this would be the cleanest, easiest, quickest solution, and probably one that Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid could very well stay on board for long term. So that's that one simply put. But as you look at other things, the last thing Jeff Jackson mentioning there in his press conference when it came down to it, it was Campbell, it was the GM search, and obviously, right, now I'm blanking on myself here, but no, it was a lot to take in for him, and that Draisaitl contract, we've already discussed that, so that's why I'm blanking, is that was the 3 points. But for Leon Draisaitl, just to kind of expand on what I said about it earlier there, is for Draisaitl, this is all live by the way, if you're watching back on replay as a video format on YouTube, goodness sakes, I apologize, but yeah, just on that Draisaitl contract, there's no huge rush to start thinking about trading Draisaitl because of the expiring contract next year. There's no rush to really sign him. I think the consensus amongst Oilers fans is, hey, let's worry about next year's cap and then worry about how it lines up years after that and figure out Draisaitl and pieces after that. I think what the consensus there too is a Draisaitl contract this year is going to mean more younger pieces in the Edmonton Oilers lineup to start next year, right? A Bourgault, a Lavoie, a potentially a Hamblin, guys that are signed to minimum contracts just to be able to make the dollars work next year, so as you can acquire pieces, one-off pieces at the deadline to push us over the hump going into playoffs, and then all of a sudden you can kind of build that roster around those guys the year after, still on cheaper deals now that the Draisaitl contract kicks in 2 years from now. So that's kind of how this all shakes out for the Edmonton Oilers. Is it really comes down at this point, anyways, to you got to get Jeff Jackson back to being the CEO only, which he has clearly stated he doesn't want to be the full time GM. And then you got to obviously take care of Jack Campbell, number one. That's going to kind of allow your offseason to take shape this year. And then from there, you start worrying about Leon Draisaitl and the contract. It's nice to know the Oilers are actually aware Draisaitl's contract's up. I think the year's previous management might not have been aware of such a big thing, but here you have it, Jeff Jackson clearly stating that it is cause for concern for the Oilers in terms of how immediate it requires attention, but also how immediate it doesn't impact things tomorrow kind of deal. So that's where we're at, friends. We'll await word on Jack Campbell. The buyout window obviously open until June 30th, so we kind of got a couple of June 30th or June 29th, somewhere in there. We got a couple of days to go, but as I said, friends, if you're new to the channel, sorry for a different styled video than you should be getting. Obviously chose vacation time right after the playoffs. I knew I needed it. So far, so good. And would love to have you stick around with us here on Dolynny TV and hit that subscribe button. Other than that, I don't think there's much else for chat comments, but to anyone here, thank you for being aboard on the ride here on the live stream so far. Really do appreciate you hanging out. And with that, I'm going to head out. We got a little bit of work to do, a little broadcasting to do here in Cold Lake this weekend over on the old high school channel, and then we get going from there. So thanks for being aboard, friends. I will catch you in the next one.